Jai, Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Rana Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivashikam Vitam Sya Om Agyana Timarandasha Yanajana Shilakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namah Gurva Bistam Supurakam Garganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shirupa Patanugam Govinda Abhidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Mande Vishwaguruncha Divyad Bhagavat Premna Vibhija Pranam Devam Divyatanum Suchandabaranam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shubharam Marika Sharanam Nyashishwara Shridaram Vanshakopatarubyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevaja Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gora Tavishe Nama. So we're reading from the Sri Chaitanya Bhagawat by Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur. This was translated by Sarvabhavana Das. And this is Madhya-khanda, chapter 14, Yamaraj performs Sankirtan. O Lord Gauranga, your exquisite form is bubbling over with the nectar of Krishna Prema as you dance within yourself. Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and the other demigods came regularly to serve Lord Chaitanya, but without the Lord's sanction, no one could see them. Every day they witnessed the different pastimes of the Lord, and when the Lord went to sleep for the night, they would disappear only to return the next day, ready to render any service to the Lord. They had witnessed how Jagai and Madhai were delivered, and now they were returning in a jubilant mood. They were discussing with each other, the Lord has such unlimited compassion for the fallen souls that he has liberated even those two most abominable characters. This has imbued in me great hope that one day I shall certainly cross over this ocean of nescience. Yamaraj, the god of death, was also a daily visitor, and he witnessed Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. He inquired from his assistant, Chitragupta, who tabulates and calculates the virtuous and sinful activities of human beings, what is the extent of the sin that these two persons have committed, and what does it mean to exonerate them? Chitragupta replied, O Yamaraj, why should we pursue this matter? Believe me, it is futile. If my assistant writers sit down and calculate the sins of these two, Jagai and Madhai, they will never conclude even after a month. However, if you want to hear their many millions of sins, then that is your prerogative. All my messengers have constantly accounted their sins to the writers to such an extent that the writers feel harassed and unable to cope with the voluminous scores of sins. Chitragupta continued, the amount of sins they committed forced us to the brink of complete exhaustion from writing an account of them. The bottomless pits where these records are kept will bear witness to our plight. These two had made us writers. Writers weep. However, now, most easily, Lord Chaitanya has absorbed their unaccountable mountains of sins. Now permit me to cast the list onto the ocean bed. Yamaraj had never before witnessed such a compassionate display of one for another. Yamaraj was an elevated Vaishnava. He was the embodiment of religious principles, well conversant with the injunctions of the Srimad Bhagavatam. When he heard Chitragupta, he went into a trance of love of Krishna. He fell down unconscious inside his chariot. Chitragupta and his assistants became concerned and tried to pick him up, unable to control the flow of tears. The returning demigods, who were jubilantly performing kirtan, saw that Yamaraj's chariot had come to a halt with Yamaraj lying unconscious inside. Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Ananta Sesh, Narad Muni, and the other demigods were experiencing a new order of happiness, glorifying Lord Chaitanya, discussing and considering how his boundless magnanimity could deliver these two who were considered the worst of sinners. When they noticed that Yamaraj's chariot had halted, they came up to it and saw Yamaraj lying unconscious inside. They were astonished to see him in this condition, not knowing the reason for his present condition, and then Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma could immediately perceive the symptoms of ecstasy in love of Krishna. Thus they began loud kirtan, singing into Yamaraj's ears. The kirtan revived Yamaraj's consciousness, and when he came back to himself, he quickly got up and began dancing like a madman. The kirtan reached a crescendo, and Yamaraj, son of the sun god, matched it with his wild dancing. Yamaraj's dancing was infectious, and soon the demigods joined in with him. Lord Shiva, Narad Muni, and everyone else were drawn in by the mood of Krishna Prema. These two very confidential matters, and one day, these are very confidential matters, and one day the Vedas will reveal these activities of the demigods. Dharmaraj, now freed from any feelings of embarrassment and intoxicated with love of Krishna, lost himself in the movements of dance. As he brought back to mind the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, he cried out, "Hallowed be the Lord, the most munificent Lord, the friend of the fallen souls." His body movements were accompanied by the ecstatic symptoms of uproarious calls, horripilation all over the body, and a continuous flow of ecstatic emotions as he wept thinking of the Lord. Singh Dharmaraj in ecstasy, his assistants and companions were overflowing with joy. Chitragupta was a devotee who was deeply attached to the lotus feet of Krishna. He joined in with unrestrained, loud, and charming appreciation, and soon all were rolling on the ground. Lord Shiva was also dancing in intense rapture, unaware that his clothes had become strewn everywhere. Naked, he gamboled about in love of Krishna. He, a most exalted Vaishnava devotee, was blessing the world by his ecstatic chanting to Lord Krishna's holy name. His matted locks had cascaded down and flared up with each upward movement of his body. Seeing their master in such raptures, Ganesh and Kartikeya also joined Lord Shankar as they all remembered the unlimited mercy just exhibited by Sri Chaitanya. Four-headed Lord Brahma, whose life and soul is devotional service to the Supreme Lord, also began to dance in the company of his family members, Kashyapa Muni, Kardama Muni, Prajapati Daksha, Manu, and Bhrigu Muni all joined in with Lord Brahma. They were all stalwarts in the realm of devotional service and were expert in relishing the spiritual mellows of Lord Krishna. They wept and danced, circling around Lord Brahma, releasing sighs of devotional service, of devotional feelings. They wept and danced, circling around Lord Brahma, releasing sighs of devotional feelings. Devarshi Narada was also dancing next to Lord Brahma. Tears of love flowed down in streams. He forgot his Veena as he was relishing the glories of the Lord and his holy name. Sukadeva Goswami, who perfectly knows the science of devotion, is a beloved devotee of Lord Chaitanya. He also joined the dancing. Repeating the names of Jagai and Madhai, he rolled in the dust, offering his obeisances to the Lord. Indra, the king of the demigods, almost invincible due to his weapon thunder. His weapon thunder was feeling repentant. Tears like rivulets flowed constantly from his 1,000 eyes. Now his 1,000 eyes, which he had received due to the curse of Gautama Muni, were also able to see for the first time the glorious pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Indra now considered that the curse was a blessing in disguise. He was experiencing such great happiness that he was rolling on the ground with no concern for his kingly position. His weapons had become impotent, and his priceless and opulently studded kirti necklace lay limp and neglected. These are the symptoms fully indicating the influence of love of Krishna. Having just drunk through their eyes the nectar of love of Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, Chandra, Surya, Kuvera, Varuna, and all the demigod servants of Lord Krishna were dancing, thoroughly intoxicated. They were jostling freely with each other, oblivious of high or low positions. They were totally inebriated and blissful. Lord Ananta Sesha was dancing, accompanied by Garuda. Lord Sesha holds the entire creation upon one of his hoods, but now he was fully absorbed in love of Krishna. Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and others surrounded him as he danced. With his 1,000 hoods, he sang of the unparalleled pastimes of Lord Gaurachandra in delivering the worst of sinners. All were in the grips of spiritual ecstasy. Some wept, others laughed, and some lay unconscious on the floor or on the ground. Someone called out, "How wonderful to see Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Oh, how blessed are Jagai and Madhai." The unlimited azure vault reverberated with their joyous pandemonium, purifying the entire cosmic creation with the eulogy of Krishna. They dispelled the gloom of inauspiciousness. The all-auspicious sound of Gaura Lila permeated the vast coverings of the material world, from the highest planet, Satyaloka, down to the lowest planet, Patala Loka. Everywhere echoed the pastime of Lord Gauranga's deliverance of the two sinners, Jagai and Madhai. Now, for once, having relished the nectar of Gauranga's pastimes, the demigods continued to glorify Lord Chaitanya as they returned to their own abodes. All glory to Lord Gaurachandra, who has appeared in this material world to benedict the conditioned souls, for he is the Lord of all the living entities, the Lord of the universe. Lord Gaurachandra, just as you have so munificently delivered these two most fallen sinners, so also kindly shower your mercy on every single one of us. O Lord, you are the most gracious, as you have come to save the fallen souls. Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda are my life and soul. I, Vrindaban Das, string a garland of songs in their praise and offer it to their lotus feet. So now continue with Madhya-khanda, chapter 15. Madhai attains transcendental bliss. All of you just behold the super excellent potency of Sri Gaurachandra. Even great and exalted personalities like Lord Shiva, Devarshi Narada, and Shukadeva Goswami find him most difficult to attain in meditation. Yet he was to be seen mingling freely with people who do not possess any devotional qualities. Out of his causeless mercy, Vishwambar performed his supramundane pastimes in Navadip, but the common people could not perceive them. The inmates of the ocean, the fish, can never perceive the moon, but only the reflection of its rays. Similarly, although Gaurachandra manifested his pastimes openly, the general people could not perceive the super excellent nature of them. By Lord Chaitanya's mercy, Jagai and Madhai were now completely transformed personalities. They were very devoted and pillars of piety. Before sunrise, they would complete their bathing in the Ganga and sit down to chant the name of Krishna 200,000 times, 2 lakh. Out of humility, they always condemned themselves for their lowly position, and with tears in their eyes, they incessantly chanted Krishna's holy name. By tasting the marvelous nectar of the holy name in devotional service, they could now see that everything and everyone was inherently part and parcel of Krishna. When memories of their older sinful ways plagued them, they fell almost unconscious to the ground, repentant and weeping. They cried out, "O most merciful Lord Chaitanya, O Savior of the fallen souls." Remembering the Lord's mercy again and again, they shed tears of joy. The happiness they experienced in Krishna's service would make them forget even about eating. Each time they considered the mercy showered upon them by Lord Chaitanya, they wept uncontrollably. Lord Chaitanya and the other devotees were always being very kind to them. This gave them hope and inspiration. The Lord himself came to feed them, but still they could not feel any peace deep inside. Madhai especially felt greatly afflicted each time he remembered how heinously he had struck Nityananda. Although Nityananda had forgiven him, Madhai was far from feeling exhilarated. He would say, I have hurt Nityananda Prabhu, drawing blood from him. In his body resides Lord Chaitanya, and yet I am so sinful that I struck such a personality. Speaking like this, Madhai punished himself. At such memories, Madhai was unable to contain his feelings, and day and night he cried. Nothing else came to his mind. Always in the mood of a child, Nityananda roamed about in Nadia, laughing and carefree. Always happy, he was very easy to please and completely free of any sense of false prestige. One day, Madhai found Nityananda all alone and threw himself down, embracing his lotus feet. With tears of love, he washed Nityananda's feet, and in complete humility, he offered prayers. O Lord, as Vishnu, you maintain this universe, and as Ananta says, you hold the entire cosmic manifestation upon your hoods. You are the embodiment of devotional service, and Lord Shankar and his consort, Parvati Devi, constantly meditate upon you. Devotional service to the Lord is exclusively your property, and thus it is your prerogative to grant anyone the eligibility for devotional service. No one is dearer to Lord Chaitanya than you. By your grace, the mighty Garuda participates in Lord Krishna's pastimes as the Lord's carrier. With your unlimited mouths, you constantly chant the glories of Lord Krishna, explaining and propounding the process of devotional service as the highest human attainment. Devarshi Narada experiences inestimable bliss chanting your glories. Your only and most treasured possession is Lord Chaitanya. You are famous as the one who forced the Yamuna to change her course and flow according to your desire. King Janaka received transcendental knowledge by serving you. Being the original person, the primeval supreme personality as proclaimed in the Vedas, you embody the essence of all scriptures. You are the greatest mystic. You are Lakshman, the valorous prince, and the divine father of every living entity. You are the vanquisher of the demoniac and atheistic forces, the supreme enjoyer of all mellows, and the foremost spiritual guide. You are well conversant with all of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Mahamaya, your external potency, has become worshipable by the entire universe just because she has served you. The entire cosmic manifestation seeks the shelter given by the shade of your lotus feet. You are fully devoted to Lord Chaitanya, and so you are the most proficient propagator of the path of devotional service. You are the sum total of all the potencies of Lord Chaitanya. You expand yourself as Lord Chaitanya's bed, throne, resting place, and umbrella. You are his very life and soul. As Balaram, you are matchless in your service to Krishna. As Nityananda, you are the foremost of Lord Chaitanya's associates, and the origin of all the expansions of Lord Chaitanya. You are always delivering the fallen and annihilating the atheists. You are the protector of the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, and the propounder of the true religion. The process of pure devotional service to you are the protector of the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord and the propounder of the true religion, the process of pure devotional service to the Lord. By your grace, Lord Brahma creates this universe. You are always worshipped by your energies, Revati Devi, Varuni Devi, and Kanti Devi. The Maharudra incarnation was produced out of your anger, and through him you bring about the annihilation of the cosmic creation. Rudra was born from the face of Lord Shankar, and he dissolves the universes. And he dissolves the universe with a great fire called Kalanala. Although you seem to be doing everything, yet you are not engaged in any work. O Lord, the entire cosmic manifestation rests upon your bosom. Your body is very soft and gives Krishna great pleasure when you expand yourself as his bed for him to lie upon. However, I am so monstrous and sinful that I hurt the very same transcendental body of yours, who is more wretched than I. Your transcendental form is constantly worshipped by Lord Shiva, accompanied by his beautiful consort Parvati and her young maiden attendants. Simply by remembering your form, one is freed from all bondage. This very spiritual body was bleeding due to my misdeeds. Chitraketu, the famous emperor, was living most happily by worshiping you, and was counted among the foremost Vaishnava devotees. That same form which is worshipped by the entire universe was brutally hit by me, the lowest of sinners. The sages of Naimisharanya forest, headed by sage Shonaka, became free from all material entanglement by meditating upon your form. As your expansion Lakshman, you were wounded in battle by Indrajit, son of Ravana, and for this you slew him. Similarly, the gorilla demon, Vivida, met with a premature death at your hands because he was foolishly harassing you. The mighty Jarasandha was also vanquished by you for being inimical to you, yet being so foolish, I could not understand my own benefit, and so I inflicted pain upon your transcendental form. I did not know the consequences of such an act, for when Rukmi, Krishna's brother-in-law, insulted you, you took his life. Ramaharshana Sutta was blessed with a long life by the sages of Naimisharanya, but when he failed to accord to you due respect, you slew him with a blade of grass. For disrespecting your words, King Duryodhana and his entire dynasty were almost exterminated. It was their good fortune that elevated devotees like Kunti Devi, Bhishma, Yudhishthir, Vidura, and Arjuna intervened and supplicated you with appropriate words on their behalf. When one's very life is at stake for just by a little disrespect shown towards you, then to what depths of depravity and hell must I enter for my heinous act? Speaking like this, Krishna Prema swelled up in Madhai, and he fell to the ground, clutching the Lord's lotus feet to his bosom. Madhai continued to pray, the shelter of your lotus feet can save anyone from the endless cycle of rebirth. You have appeared simply to deliver the most fallen, so my My dear Lord, kindly protect this fallen soul surrendered to you, for you are my life, soul, and most treasured goal. All glory to Lord Nityananda, the darling son of Padmavati Devi. You are the most precious jewel of all the Vaishnava devotees. You are completely free from any ill will, always submerged in the highest state of blissfulness, and you are always inclined to forgive those who are surrendered unto you. I am the most atrocious beast and offender, so kindly forgive me. Kindly forgive me, Lord, for all my offenses. Nityananda smiled, hearing the loving supplications offered to him, and said, Get up, arise, O Madhai. You are my servitor. I now reside within your body. Is the father disturbed if his little child hits him? I have accepted your beating in this parental mood. What is more important is that anyone who hears your wonderful and devotional prayers to me will certainly develop loving attachment to my lotus feet. You are the recipient of my Lord's mercy. Therefore, you are free from all blame. Whoever worships my Lord Chaitanya becomes most dear to me, and I will offer him my protection eternally. If anyone disregards Lord Chaitanya but offers me worship and sings my glories, he suffers pain, birth after birth. He then embraced Madhai and took away all his misery. Madhai again fell at Lord Nityananda's feet and said, I have one other prayer, my Lord. You are situated in everyone's heart, and I have inflicted severe violence on many such living entities. I do not even know to whom and to how many souls I have inflicted pain. If I could recognize them, then I would beg forgiveness for them. However, in this situation, I am deprived of their blessings and forgiveness. O Lord, if you are pleased with me, then advise me how I can get out of this dilemma. Lord Nityananda replied, Listen to my advice, Madhai. Construct a bathing ghat on the Ganga so the residents of Nadia can take a bath without difficulty. Construct a bathing ghat on the Ganga so the residents of Nadia can take a bath without difficulty. They will fondly think of you for this convenience. This will also be the service to Ganga Devi, who dissolves everyone's sins with her pure waters. What better blessing can you ask for? Stand at the bathing place and beg for forgiveness from every bather, praying to them for their blessings. In this way, you can exonerate yourself of all offenses. Madhai took to his heart Lord Nityananda's advice. After circumambulating him several times with utmost love and respect, he left. Chanting Krishna's holy name, while tears of Krishna Prem streamed down his face, he began to construct alone a proper bathing place on the bank of the Ganga. The people saw this sight with great wonder. Madhai offered prostrated obeisances to everyone who came to the site and begged them, saying, Please forgive me for all the offenses I have committed knowingly or unknowingly against you, and think of me graciously. Seeing Madhai's humility and devotional mood, the people were happy beyond words and remembered Lord Govinda. Madhai shed tears of love for the Lord while he worked. The word went around. Nimai Pandit has marvelously converted Jagayam Madhai into good and pious men. The people greeted the news with sheer astonishment and commented, Nimai Pandit is not an ordinary mortal. Nimai Pandit is not an ordinary mortal. Evil men have ridiculed and criticized Nimai Pandit without knowing him. Nimai Pandit was always actually engaged in performing kirtan. Nimai Pandit is truly a real devotee of Krishna. Whoever ridicules or denigrates him will certainly meet his doom. Anyone who could transform the character and mentality of these two is surely the Supreme Lord himself, or at least especially empowered by him. Nimai Pandit is certainly an extraordinary personality, and now the extent of his power has become widely known. The people of Nadia discussed amongst themselves in this manner, and they avoided the company of men who continued their criticism. Madhai was leading a very austere life and became known as a brahmachari, following strictly the vow of celibacy and restraint. He was always in sight of Ganga Devi, living on her bank, and worked very hard with the spade, constructing the bathing place. This wonderful pastime of Jagaya Madhai's deliverance was monumentalized for posterity by this bathing place. This narration of the Madhya-khanda is nectarine because it describes Lord Chaitanya's munificence in delivering these two fallen souls. Whoever is envious of the fact that Lord Chaitanya is the origin of everyone will be destroyed. The extraordinary activities of Lord Chaitanya are the hidden treasure of the Vedas. So hear these narrations attentively and with proper faith. Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are my life and soul. I, Vrindaban Das, humbly offer this song at their lotus feet. That's the end of chapter 15. In that chapter, as we said, it's the Madhai attains transcendental bliss, chapter 15. Okay.
Madhai attains after being a drunkard.
Huh?
So Madhai attains after all of this.
Yeah.
After being meat-eating degenerate.
Yes, he attained the blessings and mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, and then he's glorifying him. Hariharaya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama
Hariharaya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah
Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah
Gopa Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan
Gopal Govinda Ram Madhusudan
Giridhari Gopinatha Mananaman
Giri Gopinatha Varanamo
Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra
Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra
Garadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Janardan Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raguna
Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raguna
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raguna
Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raguna
Echai Gosai Kori Chanana Bandhan
Vichai Gosai Gori Charana Bandhan
Jao Ite Vignana Shabishta Puran
Yavite Vinana Savita Puran
Echai Gosai Jar Mui Taradas
Vichai Gosai Yamuri Kanadas
Dasamar Pada Renu Mora Panchadas
Hansavara Panarinu Mora Panchadas
Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas
Adera Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas
Janame Janame More Abilas
Janame More Avilas
Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Korila Prakash.
Radha Krishna Nitya Leela Korila Prakash.
Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindaban.
Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindaban.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman.
Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriya.
Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriya.
Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamona.
Harinama Sankirtan Kohe Naratamona.
Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriya.
Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriya.
Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamona.
Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamona.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo.
Jai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo.
Jai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Ashtatara Sada Shishi Mad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Ashtatara Sada Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Rakshira Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunashi Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunashi Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Vishvavarenya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Ram Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Kuladvip Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram ki jai, Ganga Devi ki jai, Tulasi Maharani ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Vrindaban Dham ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Om Vishnu Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki jai.